When you think of the keyword else in Python, you usually associate that with if-else statements. However, there is another use of the else keyword, which is slightly less common and less well known. And that's the one we're going to go into right now, which is the for-else loops. So let's go ahead and compare how else is used in if statements and in for loops. So starting off with the use with if statements, most of you should be aware of how to use if-else statements. Over here we have an if-else statement, and basically what we're doing over here is we're checking if the apple is in the fruits list, and clearly in this list you can see that there are no apples. So that is why this top statement is going to return false. And we're going to move down to the else statement, and then whatever is in the else code block is going to be executed. And in this case, it's simply a print of the sentence, apple is not in the list. So if I go ahead and execute this, you will see that that is exactly what happens in the console output. We get the sentence, which is over here printed in the console output because the apple is not in the list. So that is in essence how else statements work with an if. Basically, if whatever is written in the if statement does not apply, so whatever is written here returns false, then we move to the else statement, and that is executed. So let's now have a look how we can use the else keyword with for loops. So over here you can see that I have a list of numbers, and at the moment the 6 is missing, but let me put that in. So now it's correct. And right over here you can see that I have this for loop, and beneath that I have an else statement. So at the beginning, let's take a look at the for loop first. So over here I'm going to go through the numbers in the numbers list. I'm going to be printing the numbers, and if I get to the number 6, I'm going to break out of this top loop. And that is exactly what's going to happen because we do have a 6 over here. So that is why we're going to be breaking out of the for loop. So let me show you that. If we go ahead and execute this, you can see that the numbers 0 through 6 are printed. But since we're breaking out of the for loop, the remainder of the numbers are not printed anymore. So if I go ahead and remove the 6 and execute this again, so I'm only executing the highlighted code for the moment being and leaving out the else statement. But now you can see as soon as I remove the 6, it's going to go ahead and print out all the numbers because we're not breaking out of this loop anymore, since this if statement is not applying anymore as there is no 6 in the numbers list. And now let's see what happens if we go ahead and execute all of the code, including the else statement. So I'm now executing the code that is highlighted, including the else statement. And you can see something interesting happen, which is that at the very end of the loop, so once the numbers 1 to 10, excluding 6 because it's not in there anymore, so 1 to 10, excluding 6 is printed, we are getting the else statement being executed, which writes the sentence executed without a break. Now let's see what happens when we add the 6 back into the list. So now the difference is going to be that we are going to be breaking out of the loop again. We're going to be breaking out of the loop because the 6 is back in our list. So let me go ahead and now execute all of this again. And what you will see now is that we get the numbers 0 through to 6 printed, but the else statement does not get executed anymore. So that is exactly how the else statement works with a for loop. Whenever the for loop executes without breaking out of it, we have the else statement being executed. If, however, there is a break out of the for loop, the else statement is not executed. So that's how you use else with for loops, and that is also how they compare to their use with if statements.